Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar tonight. It's my great pleasure and honor to host Professor Naveen Lakkur on this webinar. He is popularly known as the innovation coach, and over the last several years and decades, he's been dedicating himself to helping companies, helping startups, helping large companies innovate, ideate, and bring a lot of new innovation to the market. So he spans the entire spectrum, not just from an ideation standpoint, but also taking ideas to the market, commercializing them, monetizing those ideas. And over the last couple of decades, he has been a catalyst for over 250 ideas in India, around the world. And these ideas have transformed into products, into companies, and been very successful in the market. So we're very fortunate to have Professor Naveen Lakkur. He's also a faculty at the Institute, teaching in the innovation track of our programs. He is the director of the Bangalore chapter of Founder Institute, co-founder of Value-Centered Innovation. I encourage you to check it out. One of the things about Naveen is, he has someone I have been very fortunate to interact with so many times, and every time I interact with him, I come away with a lot of insights and learning. And this is something that he shares very effusively and has a great vision. And I think vision is very important for having ideation and taking our ideas forward. We're very fortunate to have Professor Naveen here tonight. Naveen, welcome, and thanks for sharing your time and expertise with us. Without further ado, let me just turn this over to you and go through the presentation.
Thank you, Rahul. Hello, everybody. So let me share my screen. Yeah, here I am. Can you see the screens, Rahul?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So today I'm going to be speaking about the topic ideation. It's about transforming your unlimited thoughts into one sustainable, winning idea, right? That's the theme for today. And let's look at what does it mean, right? What's the goal? Our goal of ideation is to develop a winning idea, right? And what's the challenge? If you really look at, everyone has ideas, so many ideas. In fact, I keep saying this, that smart people do not have a problem of not having ideas. They have a problem of too many ideas. So many ideas keep coming in. How do you deal with that? What do you do with it, right? So that's the challenge that I see with smart people. I'm sure many of you can relate to what it means. If that's the challenge, the reality also is this, that ideas don't matter. Ideas don't matter, then what matters is execution, right? If that is what is the case, is ideation required? No, it's a $1 million question. Is ideation required? So I'm sure we're talking about ideation today, so it's a $1 million question answered, saying yes, we should move it. But let's look at why is it required. In the game of innovation, 99.9% of ideas don't survive. I repeat, in the game of innovation, 99.9% of ideas don't survive. Top 5 reasons as to why it doesn't survive is it's just a flash of brilliance. When people get these ideas, it's just a flash of brilliance and goes away, fades away, dies just in that fertile, wonderful mind, right? So many of it do not even become a reality, don't even survive its birth. So that's one highest reason of non-survival. Second is about a mismatch of expectation. It's pretty interesting that, when I wear the hat of an investor and I've invested in several of the interesting ideas, which is businesses today. And when we also pitch to investors or sponsors within the large enterprise with an idea, the people who come with idea think idea is everything. 90% of the value is for the idea, remaining everything is 10%. But whereas what is running in the mind of an investor or a sponsor is the other way around. So they think the idea is 10% and the remaining everything is 90%, right? So that's the mismatch of expectation, and people come with ideas and think great things would happen by itself, right? So the third one is very interesting, and this I see a lot more in technology world. People who build solution then looking out for a problem, because we can think, right? We think it's required. And just to give you an example, I've come across many people who would say, you know what, my wife needs to buy grocery, and it's Bangalore traffic sucks, so it's so important that there is a convenient stuff, so why not create online portal for bringing grocery home, right? Not a bad idea. But then, just because if the assumption was that my wife needed it, and assuming that everybody's wife in this world would need it, is a big assumption. And then going and building one solution for it, then looking out, how do we fulfill, how do we ensure it works, is a problem, right? Many cases have been of that kind, where just because we can come with ideas and we think it's a great idea, we go ahead and build a solution, then looking out for a problem. The fourth one is about the agility, what it takes when you want to execute on an idea, which is, if that agility is missing, is a big issue, and it has contributed quite a bit for non-survival of these ideas. For the simple reason, timing matters, right? It is so important that agility, when you're building, you can't have a great idea and don't do anything about it, and build it fast, quick, validate it, and see if it is making sense. If it is not, then it's of no use, however great the idea could be. Let me take an example here. The agility which was used in terms of as a WhatsApp as an example, I'm sure most of us who are on this call have been using WhatsApp. It's been such a popular stuff and become part and parcel of our lives, right? Do you think messaging was anything new? Idea of messaging on a mobile phone was anything new? It's been there for quite some time. But the penetration of mobile phones into the areas which was not even thought about earlier, and the internet being available, it was just about the timing and the agility of the team, a small core team which could make that idea work and make it relevant in a way that people could use in communicate and message in closed groups. Became such a big idea, right? Actually, it's a very simple idea. It has been there. It's about the timing and that agility of the team. So that being missing is one of the major reasons of why these ideas which come do not survive. The fifth one, of course, there are many more, but these are the top 5. And the fifth one is about missing ability to pivot ideas to stay relevant. Here, it's such a critical thing, idea dime a dozen, so we would have started, but it's just not about starting. Ability to pivot as it is required. People get very obsessed with their ideas as against being passionate about the problem that they need to solve. With that ability to pivot gives them higher chance of survival rate and hence opportunity to succeed. Again, let me give you an example of a very successful company which has demonstrated the pivot very well. This is a company called, PayPal. And when these founders came out of eBay and started this company, their whole objective was to create a product or a platform which is for internet security. So they started off in this journey, but then they had to go through a lot of struggle, and even to survive, it was a big question. With a lot of passion, persuasion, they continued, and but then actually when they got name, fame, success, it's because they pivoted and they figured out there was a need that of internet security actually, but in the form of payment gateway. So they figured out what was relevant to that market and used underneath whatever expertise that they had built over that period, but figured out a solution which made a relevance to the market and got them big success. If there's a chance, you should read this book called Founders at Work. It showcases life of founders of 20 tech companies, be it HP, Adobe, Apple, PayPal, Hotmail, Yahoo, and several of these companies. I found very interesting commonalities amongst all of these founders, innovators, that, the commonality about their passion, about the persuasion, the problems that they faced, and how did they move forward, and the support that they got from each other, and taking the market head on. Several commonalities that I found. But I was very intrigued by one very uncommon commonality I found was all of these companies, when they got name, fame, success, it was not for their original idea. I repeat, it was not for their original idea. So key here is about their ability to pivot and make it work, right? So these are top 5 reasons why innovations fail, ideas do not survive, and hence the need. What can be done? How can we increase the survival rate? So first comes that relevance and the survival rate. Hence, you can anticipate and look forward for a success, right? So in that game, ideation is a very important piece in the game of innovation, right? So there are 3 pieces in the game of innovation. One is inspiration, the other is ideation, the third is incubation, right? So what happens here is in that inspired mode, we have so much of inspiration with those ideas, we jump into incubation and missing the whole piece of ideation. Actually, to me, ideation is the best piece in this whole journey. It's like the courtship. It's you're committed, not married. What a wonderful phase in life, right? So that's what ideation actually is all about. So ideation, to define, is it can play a very helpful role then to find the best idea. In fact, ideation increases the idea survival rate. So that's ideation for you, right? So if that is what it is, then it's important that we learn from those people who've been there and done that and found their way to the top, right? This reminds me of my personal experience where my boss, a CEO, when I used to work in my early days of technology company, young guy, very, very interesting person with a lot of ideas. He was the youngest director for Apple those days, and he'd moved on to create his own company. So it was a startup which acquired my company, and I became a part of this company. And one day he just called me, and the CEO called me and said, suddenly, he asked me, Naveen, do you think we need to learn? Do you want to learn from your mistakes? A pretty simple answer, I thought, and I said, definitely, yes, of course. Then he said, do you have the time to commit all by yourself? Actually, it hit me hard. I realized that, definitely it is important for me to learn from my mistakes, but I definitely don't have time to commit all mistakes by myself. So it's important to learn from others' mistakes. At the same time, I also realized that it is important to learn from others' success too. So today, whatever I'm sharing, the next 30, 40 minutes of our time is going to be a sharing of some of my own life experiences of dealing with more than 250 ideas to have become commercial realities worldwide, but in the process failed many ideas, and there's a lot of learning from that. At the same time, learned from several other people who have failed in that process of making their idea work, and also dealing with so many people that who have made their idea work, right? And with all that learning which I've had, been practicing this and making my little effort to see how to make that journey of those people who have a lot of ideas, generate a lot of thoughts, and how to deal with that and to pick that one winning idea. That's the effort for today. And I would be happy if there are at least the 3 takeaways for all of you who are participating in this webinar. One is just to be aware, the ideation, what ideation means and the power of ideation, just that awareness. Second takeaway would be there is a disciplined approach towards dealing with idea madness, right? A method to the idea madness. So if you could get a feel of that, and that would be a great takeaway. The third, I would say, is, let it be transient in your mind whenever you're dealing with ideas. If any one single concept out of today's session reminds you, I'm sure that itself will be a takeaway. So I would wish that this session is going to be useful for the time that you're spending today. So jumping on to the process. Actually, there are 2 sides to this coin of ideation. One is the art and the other is the science. Let's understand what's the role of art. The art is to come with new and novel ideas, and the science is the process of developing the winning idea. I repeat, there's the art side. The art is all about coming with new and novel ideas, and the science is following the process of developing the winning idea. So it's very important both sides of the coin is come together, then it unleashes new power, right? Let's look at what that power is all about. So I'll walk you through a 5-part framework that guides you to find your winning idea, right? And that's FOUND. FOUND is an acronym for the 5-step or 5-part framework. The first one being a free flow, the next one being Orient, the third being Unearth, the fourth being Negotiate, and the fifth being Decide, right? Actually, the picture here itself depicts that it is a technique to funnel with many ideas, thoughts that we get. How do we funnel that out? And how do we use a methodology to develop that idea which has the potential to win? So if I have to jump into the very first one, which is free flow. So allow all ideas to flow. There's nothing called as a right or a wrong, right? It's very important to understand this, that, allow it to flow, free flow. Some people do brainstorming as a technique in this phase, and I'm sure you understand brainstorming, storm of that brains and great thoughts and so on. So allow it. And there is a method to deal with this free flow of ideas. Let me share a few additional thoughts on this. More ideas are better. When you're in this phase, this first part, which is about free flow of ideas, more ideas are better. Nothing is a taboo, right? Don't say no right away, keep everything. The problem with our human mind is, especially if we are generating an idea, we jump into the execution mode. At this stage, we should not worry about what is feasible, what is not, and allow it to flow. And if you really look at all ideas, it originates, the genesis of these ideas would be out of 3 emotions. And it can fall amongst any of these emotions. It could be because of passion. The ideas are getting created out of passion, and or the ideas could be getting generated out of curiosity, or the ideas could be getting generated out of anger or disappointment, right? Let me give you an example so that you can relate to. With Apple, if you see as a company, and people at Apple as a culture itself is driven on passion. Steve Jobs, the ideas that was coming out of his mind was out of passion, right? That's an example of Apple product is an example of passion, right? And if you really look at curiosity, very interesting example would be Google, right? When they started Google, the curiosity of the founders of, with the internet outburst which was happening, so much of information overload which would be there out there in the society, in the market. How do we even figure out what is relevant, what is useful? How do we even fetch that? That curiosity of overload of information got them to create Google eventually, right? That's a curious idea came, evolved, or the genesis of that was out of curiosity. And anger or disappointment, if I have to let me take a local example of how for Pani Sama of Redbus, when he started Redbus, he wanted to go when he was working for Texas Instruments. Pani is a good friend, and so I've understood, what happened in his life and how he originated this as a young guy, being with Texas Instruments and a multinational, and one of the long weekend, because of Deepavali festival, he wanted to go to his hometown. So he thought it was a simple thing, just go to the bus stand, take a bus, and do an overnight travel. And to his surprise, that he couldn't even get a ticket. And then he hopped from one agent to the other and one store to the other, never found. And he could not travel that long weekend for the Deepavali festival to spend his time with family. He was very disappointed. And then he was thinking, how crazy when the technology is advancing so much, when you can find and book flights, what's stopping for that to be made available for buses? And then he tried looking for such a solution. None were available for finding a bus and booking a ticket. He said, let me start there. And so the idea originated out of that disappointment. So it could be any or even a combination of some of these emotions that the ideas would be generated. So you allow it to free flow, but then you can figure out where is it coming from, nurture that, and you'll enjoy that process of creating many, many ideas. But when you're on a new journey, especially if you have identified the problem that you really want to solve, and you've identified that there is a need for the problem, and you allow the free flow of ideas to happen. So at least with a target of 25 ideas is how you should start, so that the power of ideation is fully leveraged. Having done the free flow and got many ideas, the next part would be on Orient. So Orient is about find the match between you and your idea, right? What does it mean? Actually, there's a personality fit between you and the idea. So idea is one part and you are the other part. Together is what is inseparable. And it should be out of liking. Never pursue an idea that you don't love. Never pursue that. And I also check that, are you going to be obsessed over your idea for years to come? If it is not, idea here could be even the problem that you really want to solve. How passionate are you about it, right? That's the personality fit that you need to figure out. And it's very important that sometimes the ideas keep getting generated because that would be a trend going on. There was an e-commerce trend, so you feel like, oh, this could be the cool idea, that it is another e-commerce in a different space or a different market or a different segment. Nothing wrong. Or it could be idea which is on IoT, of Internet of Things, or Today's trend is all about that artificial intelligence or machine learning. So because of the trends, you might be getting ideas that, why not? If Flipkart is going to invest the next round of funds that they've got into ideas which are in grocery and in those new business lines, then why not we kind, so that we become a very interesting company to be acquired by Flipkart eventually kind. So ideas could be coming because of the trends, but if that is not what is your passion, and if tomorrow morning you don't wake up excited about your idea, then you should not pursue that, right? That's the next level of filtering. So just don't go because of the trend and the timing of it and so on. So you should figure out what really has the calling for you, and does it make sense for you to be involved, and why you kind, right? That's the personality fit on the orientation of you and the idea. Once you've done that, it's important to move to the next part, which is about digging for data to find figures and facts. This is a little tough thing, so most of us are conveniently skip this, but it's such an important piece in this game, right? So we have to validate that assumption, right? In the earlier example that I took, just because a wife of somebody who had this idea of bringing grocery home through online purchase, does more people need it? Where do they have the problem? What are the kind of problems that they're having? Do we have the critical mass? Is there vendors? And has somebody done it or not? Like, ask those big questions. Who's failed? Who's done? I can list umpteen number of companies which has attempted in grocery field and failed, wound it up because of many other challenges, right? And it is very surprising, or it's not a surprise, that even today in the newspaper, Economic Times says that the next round of investment that Flipkart wants to, that they're raising would be actually spending on building on some core areas like grocery, right? So, but many people have failed. Then who has succeeded? Why do they want to even be doing it? Same way, when you get ideas, who is really going to be needing this? So asking these big questions is very, very important. Dig for that information, look for that. Research is something which is not natural to many. We are not comfortable with it, but it is very important to deal with it and and don't skip that piece. It increases the survival rate, right? With having asked these big questions and got some answers, you can jump to the next part, which is about verify if they are willing to pay, if they are willing to use, if they're willing to even refer. That's the negotiate part. When we talk about negotiate, people usually relate negotiate to money. Money is one part of it, but negotiation could happen for many different reasons. Let me give you an example of a real life example of what happened with two biggies. When Steve Jobs wanted to launch or bring mobile phones, cell phones, uh, even though he had had great success in iPod and so on, so this is a new business line. They were not very sure, they'd never done this earlier. So for him, it was very important to see how to de-risk the company in their whole process of new product development, right? And what he did was went to AT&T, and AT&T has been in the telecom industry for a long period, but their cell phone technology was using GSM technology, as against popular in the US was CDMA, the Sprint and several Verizon. They were all very popular and strong, had large market share. So here AT&T wanted something new that they could capitalize on their growth. And here comes Steve Jobs with an idea that he wants to launch or develop or even build a new product. And even before really building, what he did was propose this. And what AT&T negotiated was that They said they will fund all the R&D and the product development effort and money required for that. But they said they wanted exclusivity. For 3 years, they got into an exclusive contract. Well, for Apple, it was about de-risking their company in terms of the product development, and for AT&T, it was a new market opportunity. So it was a win-win situation. Negotiation is all about win-win. And here, this is a case which happened before the development of product. So it was during the ideation phase. Very well executed. A lot of people later told, Steve Jobs saying, you should be crazy that, you got into exclusivity, lost so much of opportunity. But that was the right thing for them to do at that point in time. And it worked out well for both of them. And AT&T got the market share, and Apple got their product validated, market acceptance. And after 3 years, they were free to go to other markets. They were free to go to other telecom providers and so on. So that's a case of negotiation. So this is a negotiate is a part where the rubber meets the road. Okay, and the way to do this part is about, like, if it is a business to consumer kind of a business, then it's important that you look at the surveys. At least 500 plus consumers use technology today, like Facebook advertise costs less, but then you can reach out to many, figure out, do they really need? They don't have to know that you don't have the product or the solution or a service, but it's important how you package. Go figure out, and at least go meet people, like 25 plus interviews. And if it is a business to business kind of an idea that you have, then it's important that go speak to at least 20 domain experts. May not be that they know all about your idea, but it is important for you to go. Don't do it in isolation and build a solution, then looking for a problem. Look for a problem which needs a solution and build it. Makes a lot of sense from commercialization perspective, right? So at least 10 businesses, and the best way for a business to business thing is to get a 3-letter of intent, right? Letter of intent would not mean it's a contract, but it is the expression of interest. So when you put forward a piece of paper and say, please express your interest on the idea that I'm building, then the reality. Do they really mean, or they just said for the sake of saying, right? So it's an important phase, and speak to as many and everyone possible, right, about your idea. Let me share one example of my own experience that I had with one of the senior executive of former Yahoo, and he had an idea. He wanted to launch a platform, and I was mentoring him, and then one day he invited me that he wanted to discuss and present the progress that he's made, and we met for dinner. During the dinner, he shared all the progress that he's made, and it was all set for launch very soon. So when he shared everything, and I was just about to leave, saying goodbye for the night, and he said, Naveen, one request. I said, what is it? He said, can I request you not to share about this idea with anybody? I said, okay, if you say so, I will not share. But actually, what he should have asked, now as a mentor, I could tell him later that, you know what, it's already pre-launch, and I'm already networked with so many people in terms of I belong to several bodies of be it innovation or entrepreneurship or about startups and consumer communities. And ideally, you should have asked, saying, can you talk to 20 people in your circles about this idea just about to be launched now as a platform, than saying, don't talk to anybody, right? It's secret. So did not help him in his initiative. Of course, it's important if there is something which is patentable, something which is a trade secret, those aspects need not be discussed, right? It's very important to take care of those. So, but negotiate is where rubber meets the road. It's like, close there, and then the toughest part in this process is part 5, where you have to make a choice and gear up to build, right? Choice of that idea that you want to build, right? So let's look at this. It's about deciding which one you want to really pursue. Started off with around 25 ideas generated, created those ideas. Then by the time, typically when you evaluate, see the orientation, many of them would wither out. It does not stand the test. So only around 10 of them is what you're evaluating. And in that process, it gets eliminated. And then you would land up approximately like, on 5 of them that you unearth and do research and figure out. And definitely you will figure out that, not necessarily all of them is what is worth discussing with others for further verification and validation of that idea. And with that, I'm sure you would be equipped with which one to pursue. Sometimes even some of the ideas could be a residue idea which can follow through as a feature or a functionality of the one that you are pursuing. But definitely it's important to pursue on one idea, right? So, and you will be able to distill through this process. So that's what is the process for ideation. And with that, I would have to share that, some tips that you got to learn, that method to that madness of ideas on how to make it work, how to make your idea a reality and worthwhile. So if that is the case, then some tips before we go to the last phase of my presentation. This is definitely important. Don't worry. No one is going to steal your idea. It's just not about the idea. How many times that you would have got an idea of what Google did, right, of searching? It's just not about the idea, but they did something about it. And today it is one of the world's best platform for you to find. And people don't say, I want to search. They say, I want to Google, right? That's the way it has become. So it's about like, nobody's can steal your idea, because it's just not about idea. It's about execution, about you, the team, and it's about the timing. It's the way you execute. All put together is what is going to make it unique. So many of us allow the idea to die. It's natural death. Actually, to me, it is killing of those ideas, just because we have that fear of that our idea would be stolen. The other tip I want to give you is, it's easy to fall in love with a bad idea, right? So many ideas that we can generate. It's very easy to fall in love with a bad idea. That's a bad problem to have. And how do you actually deal with that? Let's see. So the other good part is about the best ideas actually complete your own life story. I gave you an example of Panisama of Redbus, where it actually completed his own life story, the idea, and look what happened. It became a large company, and serving so many people, creating so much convenience, eventually bought out by IBPO, and it's part of a large enterprise now, and continues to live even beyond him. While he is moved on from the company, but the idea is grown into a large product platform and enterprise by itself, right? So it completes your own life story. As I said, we have this fertile mind to generate so many ideas, but if you know how to categorize, then no idea is a bad idea. This is one of my other intellectual properties I'm presenting to you, called idea matrix. It's a 6x6 matrix. They say 6x6 is a perfect vision, right? When you deal with ophthalmology. So here is a 6x6 matrix for idea. So the categories are, it could be pastime, plugin, or a patent idea, or idea could be a product. It could become an entrepreneurial idea or an entrepreneurial idea. So, and the other axis is about market stage. It's about like several stages. Is it in demand, or is it early stage, or is it greenfield, or it's in the unknown space? or is it on the declining or the yesteryears, right? Let me give you an example again how to use this. And with the right categorization, the chances of how you take action and what you do with it completely changes. The expectation management becomes very effective. At the same time, ideas can migrate from one level to the other. One example that I can give is what is very popular now is Facebook. And Facebook, when it started, right, it was a hobby idea. It was a pastime idea. And it was in the space of greenfield. It was like just a simple, nice method of how we can all, as friends in a campus, can come together, collaborate, and get together online. So that was the whole idea. It started as a pastime, and it's a greenfield from a market stage. But eventually, when they developed something, it became a plugin. It actually became part of the intranet of the university. And this was the time even they got an offer for $2 million that Facebook, there was an offer for it to be bought out. But they said no. Simple, because it was a hobby idea. They didn't care. It was not for that money that they were building, and they were getting a kick out of it and continued to build. In that process, they created several interesting methods to collaborate and so on. So they got many patents and eventually built several products. Does different things like social media marketing or algorithms for understanding the personas of people, their interest, and so on. So several products. In fact, they even went and acquired several products or platforms. WhatsApp is one of them, right? And in the process, they actually created it became an entrepreneurial idea and in demand now, right? It's that space that they've created in such a valuable enterprise today. And they say it's the third largest population after China. India is Facebook. So that's where it is. So you can use this idea matrix when you deal with idea. If you can map it, then you get grounded. Your ideas get grounded. Right expectation setting would happen, and accordingly you can take action and build. You don't plan to raise a few millions of dollars for a pastime idea, and at the same time you don't get into an entrepreneurial idea in the unknown space, right? It is very hard to invest and make it as an entrepreneurial venture. So that's how you use this idea matrix. This is more than a tip for you. And there's a whole lot of technique and practice that you can do with this idea matrix. This, as I said, is a trailer in terms of, but yet I want to encapsulate whatever possible on ideation in this 45 minutes and the total 1 hour session. So with that, I want to move to another intellectual property of mine. Going through so many ideas that people wanted to pitch, and when I had to invest or collaborate or associate with idea to make it a reality, it was very difficult for me to deal with all data and understand the power of the idea. So I had to develop this model called the rose model. It's the golden rose. It's a simple yet a powerful way to validate the power of your idea. When somebody is pitching, there are 3 parts that I'm looking for. When somebody is pitching their idea, one is the thorns. I look for what is the pain points that is there in the market that you want to solve. The second is, with that pain point, I want to look at the bud, which is the core of that solution for that problem. The third is about the petals, the features, the functionalities of the product or the services or the solution which is there. So I look for these, and many times it gets well validated, because when people pitch, the problem is not painful enough, and there's not enough market potential, and it's not deep enough, and it's not painful enough. And at the same time, some people pitch their idea as a solution, which is actually a petal. By itself, it can't stand. It is just a feature in some other product or a platform, right? By itself, it does not have the sustainable thing. So this is one quick technique. You would be able to again Google on Rose model for ideation, and you'll see some of my writings and also a video for you to understand this concept quickly. But it's a simple technique to validate, and I've been using this quite effectively last 10 years and thousands of ideas, right? So um, having said that, very recently I had this experience of coaching a team in Institute of Product Leadership executive MBAs who were graduating, but before graduation they have to do a project. And they came to me and they said they want to pitch their idea. All of these, whatever process that you see or the Rose model that I explained, sounds simple and easy, and you might say easier said than done. Definitely, I agree it is not as easy to do, but that's an essential. There is a need for a disciplined approach to create great products or platforms or solutions or companies, right? So here is the team which came, and they came with an idea that, this was a team of 5 members from very varied backgrounds, and they were all in cushy jobs and doing executive MBA program because they wanted to create an impact. And they come with an idea that, and maybe also for the reason that all of them had young kids, like, kids going, and most of them even had both husband and wife working. And they said it's actually a big problem in the society where kids are being left in the daycare, and we don't know what's happening there. Parents are very anxious about what's happening there. Are they safe or not? And our idea is to create a platform which has the third eye. While the 2 eyes of theirs is busy working at their workplace, there is one eye watching the kids at the daycare center. So that was the idea that they came with and they presented, and it sounded so much like surveillance and having a watch on them or the kids and or at the daycare center. And is everything okay? Not. If there is any eventualities, how do we deal with it? Security, several of these. Then they had to go back and start working on this ideation process. They went through all of these 5 different parts of ideation, and I used the Rose model to validate. I saw that yes, there is a pain, that there is anxiety of parents, but the core of it as a solution, as a surveillance or something which is about monitoring, I was not sure if that is what is going to be the core solution. But I could sense there is some pain and which is worth solving. So they had to go through this full process, and let me now show you what they did, right? End of 3 months, part-time project. And I asked one question to them: is this your hobby project, or is it because as part of your executive MBA curriculum, do you want to do this? Or is it about wanting to create a bigger impact? And anything is fine as far as you're true to it. And they said, no, we really want to explore if there is a possibility just beyond a project. And we want to see if there could be a product opportunity and make it a business and a sustainable one. So I said, okay, if that is the game, then you'll have to play hard. And this is what they did. And let me play a video for you, which is an explainer video created by one of this members of this project. And this explains everything by itself. came with an idea of Chagati, the third eye. They landed up creating Tinsy Pulsy. This is the company, this is the idea that they've built. And let me play another video of what has been created by this interesting team. And this will show for itself as an outcome, an idea, then now a reality. This is an outcome they produced, and this is a real life work. And while they are using actually interesting technologies, actually it is using cloud-based technology, face recognition technology, and they plan to build artificial intelligence and machine learning. So a lot of automation is there using headgears, it captures images. The whole idea is to provide that wonderful moments that parents are missing when the child is at a daycare, and enabling these daycare centers to help parents and the child being connected just with this 90-second snippet that the parents would receive on their mobile phone, end of the day, is priceless, right? And to me, the best gift that this team could give, out of 3 months of their effort, which started as an idea, not sure how to get started, to an idea which is becoming a company of its own. It's an entrepreneurial venture now. Some of them in the team have decided to quit their jobs to pursue this as their business with the support of other members who are a part of this initiative. An idea which has become a reality, not just a reality, sharing a lot of wonderful moments and creating a wonderful place, and as a sustainable business using high-end technology. So that's the power of ideation, and thanks to this team which did this, I'm so happy and proud to be talking about what they've created. I had a smile on my face when I saw this video which was taken and managed. With that, I want to say thank you so much for being part of this webinar, and trust me, ideation is fun. But we need to also understand.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have actually a lot of questions that have come in.
Okay.
So why don't we?
My presentation.
Yeah. So why don't we take a few questions and see as many as we can get to? So a question from Manish here. You talked about ideation being very important, and the mismatch of expectations between people with ideas and people looking to invest in ideas. So his question is that most startups and companies skip ideation for their products. So how do we make this a lot more ingrained and activity inside the company, in the organization, and just manage these mismatch of expectations? How do we make ideation much more ingrained as an activity?
Actually, it's a wonderful question. I think out of convenience, we have been skipping that whole phase of ideation, even in large companies. And we are in a hurry to create and produce something. We are so inspired that we kicked about the idea and jump into incubation, or it is getting shot down at the idea level itself because people can't relate to, right? I think there is a need for a disciplined approach for ideation as a conscious effort for that phase. And every company actually is looking for how to utilize the human capital to create that intellectual capital. So, and India also as a place where this human capital is the biggest asset we have, ideation could play a very critical role in terms of translating that into something which is meaningful, right? So there is a need for this to be followed consciously, and many times I think they need a catalyst, right? There is because it's natural to jump into the building mode and execution, and it has to be orchestrated and catalyzed. So it has to be a conscious effort.
Yeah, and also requires a lot of sponsorship from the senior management level to be able to make this as part of the process, not just jump into the building and validating side of things.
Yeah,
Right?
very
So
true. And
yeah.
yeah, it's an important piece that you're bringing, Rahul. So here, if they actually see, they know that this is a lot more cost effective to sponsor ideation such that they don't spend millions of dollars into the next big product or the next big solution in building that, and that not seeing the light the way it is meant for. If a smaller amount of money is smartly and time spent on ideation can increase the chances of creating bigger things, better things in a sustainable way.
Yeah. Yeah, we have another question here, Naveen, and actually the same question asked by two people, Shweta and Nivedita. So that's very interesting. It's like they both had the same idea. It looks like. So the question here, Naveen, is can we validate someone else's idea?
Oh yeah, we can. Actually, it is if it is somebody else's idea, right? It is easy to validate because you have nothing to lose. And people validating their own idea, that needs a lot more expertise, and it's not easy for them to separate themselves with idea. They would have got obsessed. But if it best way to start validating ideas is to do for others, but not as a critique, not as how to handle that. Sometimes it's validate, don't have to give them feedback unless until it is asked for, and so on so on. But then practice of that validating with others idea is the best way to start building the competency.
Yeah. I think the point that you made about we are not as vested in someone else's idea as we could be in our own idea, and that creates a separation between us and the idea, and makes us a lot more makes that validation a lot more effective. I think that's very important. Yeah. I have another question from Manish. What is the relationship between the ideation stage and the MVP? How do we go from ideation to MVP?
That's the kind of a handshake. Ideation phase can end with an MVP, or it could be that just before the MVP. Sometimes it is about like negotiating and idea being presented, validated in such a way that you won't even need an MVP. Otherwise, the natural end of the phase to get into incubation is the MVP.
Okay. This is another good question, Naveen, from Shweta. Is there a forum where we can build and share ideas with like-minded people?
Actually, interesting that now few of the large companies have started as part of their intranets, and they've also got some systems in place where they would be able to share ideas. And companies like Nestle and all are actually nurturing ideas. Just to give you an example of the power of ideation, I'm so happy and proud that recently Indian Railways, which is the largest employer in the world, right? They did a ideation boot camp. Can you believe in 1 week, just for employees? This was participation only by employees. 1,70,000 ideas got generated out of employees in 7 days.
Wow.
And many of them are those necessarily who have given ideas need not have to pursue the idea. So several of them they've identified which has the power to get it patented. Several of them are getting productized. Several of them are actually those who gave that idea, irrespective whether they will pursue or somebody else will pursue, are being rewarded. And so this is in a government body, recent initiative, conscious effort towards ideation, and look what it has done. This happened a few months ago. 1.7 lakh ideas in 7 days just by employees.
Excellent.
Professors, I hate to interject, but we are now at 10:04 here in India. So we will have to close the session. Thank you so much, Professor Naveen, for the wonderful webinar. For all the others who asked questions, but we could not get to them, we invite you to interact with Professor Naveen on the Product Leaders Consortium, which is our LinkedIn group. You can interact with Professor Naveen as well as other product leaders over there. Engage, share, and learn is our motto. We'd like to announce the winner of the Best Question Award, Professor Naveen's book. That is Manish Sharma, for your very thoughtful and insightful questions. Congratulations, Manish. You'll hear from our team shortly. A note about a few events that are coming up. For students and alumni, we have a career day happening on April 15th, where you can meet hiring managers. So if you have not already registered, please do so as soon as possible. For others who are considering joining our programs, we have a mega info session coming up on our Product Leadership MBA. Do attend and learn why it's not a general purpose MBA and how it can help you in your career. We also have two of our very popular day in the life of a product manager seminars happening across the country. On 22nd April, we would be meeting folks at Hyderabad, and on 6th May, we would be meeting attendees at Gurgaon. And Professor Naveen will be at Gurgaon. He'll be running a workshop over there. So head over to the events page on www.productleadership.com and register for the events that interest you the most. That brings us to the end of tonight's webinar. Thank you again, Professor Naveen. Thanks to Professor Rahul for dialing in from Irvine, and thanks to all of you for attending. Good night and good day.
Thank you, and good night and good day to everybody.